So the relatives have prepared some food and they're getting it ready yet. So somewhere along the way we're going to take a little break and then start with the eating. So I know if we're fuller, maybe we'll ask some more questions. Some more comments. For those of you that don't know me, and we all know each other. I think some of you guys know that through this past year I've been involved with this issue regarding eagle feathers. This started back at the mid-year, actually it was the midwinter session last year for the National Congress of American Indians that happened in Washington, D.C. And at that time, there was a really important pending case going on called the Parcieri fix, and this was in regards to land that's owned by the tribes. There's a determination of whether or not the official capacity of who actually owns the land, et cetera, et cetera. It was kind of it's still an ongoing case, and Mike can go deep into that, but we're not going to do that today, so that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, I walked down this hallway, right, and when they had everything clearly marked for us. In all those rooms, we had all these different sessions going on throughout this convention center. And here I walked in the wrong room. When I walked in there were some people there from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Department of Justice, Office of Tribal Justice, and OTJ is within the U.S. Department of Justice, but they deal specifically with Native American issues. One of the things that I'm going to continue to say in regards to all this and some of the information that you have, members of federally recognized tribes. Danny, how many federally recognized tribes are there? Speak up so everybody can hear you. Oh, he actually remembers. 565 federally recognized tribes out there, and I think, I believe the last count was there's actually 32 applications also pending. Is that right, Mike? Yeah. Ish. And in the history of the use of eagle feathers in this country, I guess when I'm talking about the history of it is where the government actually took an interest in it back in 1876. I'd like to say there was because of using that as a national symbol, the national bird, the eagle. They afforded that certain protections under the law of the United States, and how, I guess, self-imposed type of respect for the eagle. And because of those protections, it stayed that way for quite a while, even though the use of eagle feathers by tribes has always been here with us, no matter how it is that we used it way back there, and even before then. It was always a usage and a respect that was already instilled in the tribes, and the way that they used those eagle feathers. When I walked in there was a gentleman by the name of Benito Perez. He was the chief of law enforcement for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And at that time, he was speaking. Department of Interior. I almost said Shalimar. Yeah, that was he designates a type of authority to each and every one of the offices and agencies underneath him. And so they were designated with the preservation of the eagle. Migratory birds, and when you look on certain sites, especially, there's a piece of paper here that refers you to the Fish and Wildlife site, and there's a lot of information on eagle feathers and non-eagle feathers on that site. So that's a really good one to see exactly what it is that they're dispersing. It's pretty neutral, I think. And when I was talking, when I walked into that meeting and Mr. Perez was speaking, there was a lot of inconsistency in the words that he was saying. We enforce the laws of the land and the illegal taking, possession, and distribution of eagle feathers in the United States. But if you want to, and we understand that you have your own ways, so if you want to, you can kill one eagle and that's all right. That's what was stated at that time. And yet, by law, if you have eagle feathers and it does not have a permit to go along with those eagle feathers are considered illegal. One of the things that I didn't put in here, and it's quite a lot of paperwork, but also you can also find them on the sites as well. There's our Migratory Birds Treaty Act, the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, specifically, Lacey Act. There's like four main acts that they derive their authority from, the official officers. But even when looking at those acts where they get their authority, there isn't a consistency again in what's stated in those acts. Back in when those first acts were instituted, now I'll save that part. So those acts, when you look at them, you'll see some places you can get a fine. You can do this. They can do this to you. They can arrest you. Nothing more than $500 for your first offense. 10 days in jail. And then in other ones, you can be fined up to $10,000, and then you can be imprisoned for 2 to 10 years. And so, it kind of depends on regionally what they're actually looking at and how they would like to approach that incident in the event they do find someone with illegal eagle feathers, which is pretty much, how many of us are there that actually have permits for the eagle feathers? Anyone? Does anyone? You have a permit for yours? Permit? The card from the Native American Church of North America, Native American Church, State of Wisconsin, references those acts that I just talked about, and all it's telling you is that it's referring you back to their process, which is if you do not have a permit to go along with the eagle feathers, they are considered illegal. So there isn't anything other than the acts, like when we reference those on our church cards, that's gonna save you, I guess you could say. It isn't going to assist you in any way legally yet. That's one of the things that we're working on. But again, it brings about a consistency for every other type of religion that's out there. Freedom of religion for Native Americans does not exist, in my opinion, for as long as I've been working. There isn't any place else that you can go in the United States that requires us to have an identification card stating that we are members of a grouping of people that practices the same type of belief. But we do. And then what happens to those of us who belong to ways of belief that don't have membership cards? Is it as simple as just pulling out your identification card from your federally recognized tribe, under the understanding that all of this is contingent on you being a member of a federally recognized tribe? Otherwise, there are certain other ramifications that will go under as well. So, but how it applies to us is what I'm talking about. members of federally recognized tribes. When we were talking there, and this is a really good statement, and this is kind of what got me started on the whole thing. He stood up there and said, all these inconsistencies, we got to do this, we got to do that, and yet we understand, we sympathize when those times come up when you absolutely need those eagle feathers right then and there. We understand, and then so you can take that eagle. As long as you don't have 200 eagles sitting in the freezer at home and you're giving them away or you're selling them or you're bartering, quote unquote bartering. We'll get into that later. Yeah.
All right. Do we got anything like the ones that have it now? Okay, fall on their grandmother.
The only eagle feathers that you have, that you possess, that would have some type of a grandfather clause determination is if you can prove that you've been in possession of those before 1940. And believe it or not, there is a way to figure that out.
And the Fish and Wildlife Service, that they have that. It's interesting the technological aspect of that. One of the things they said in trying to figure out how it was that they were going to be able to regulate the possession of eagle feathers was to be able to barcode. When you put in an application through the Eagle Feather Repository in Denver, and when you get that permit, it would come with a barcode. Another one of the things that they had talked about was being able to put within that little bitty transmitter that actually states where it comes from, and with all the different information on it. And there's also a way right now, and that's being used by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, mostly for importation of animals from outside of the continental United States. In that they have a machine that can actually give you a DNA breakdown of whatever it is, whatever type of animal or bird that's coming from. And they have it now so streamlined that if you put that on an eagle feather right now, you can tell exactly what part of the region of the United States that eagle came from, what kind of diet it had, and when they break that down into numbers, you can actually get a code for that particular eagle.
I asked them outright. I said, are you planning on using that in the future? I said, instead of having a black barcode on it, or instead of putting the little transmitter with the information on it. I can't remember what that was called. Do you remember what that's called, Mike? But you guys know what I mean? It's like a microchip inserted into the eagle feathers. And then once they scan them, they can pull out the information on who, when, where you got it. And it's just like anything else. Similar. I was going to show you, but it's over there. But that's kind of as far as technology has gone. Ashland, Oregon. They have a laboratory there specifically for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they're the ones that are working on this technology now. They're looking more towards that, not the black barcode, but actually that microchip thing, and to be able to use that. That's what they said. As far as the scraping for the DNA barcode, they said right now there is no intent that they're going to be using that in regards to the eagle feather issue. But it kind of only makes sense to me that the technology is available for them to be able to use it, that somewhere in the future that's going to be an option for them. All they do is just put the end of the eagle feather in there, put that little scraping on there, and you have a DNA barcode that will tell you exactly where the number for it, the identification number, and then you can plug that into any other computer, wherever it is that they're storing their information, and that stuff can be burned out. So these are some of the things that we've been talking with him about. At that meeting, Mr. Perez, he was stating, he said, so all this stuff he was saying at that time. He said, but I understand the Indian country and how things work. He said, because I've been on staff with Senator Inouye And for those of you that have been involved in the kind of political